you should be extremely afraid.
Venom is blessed with many of the basic powers you would expect, not just from Spider-Man, but comic book heroes in general, whether super strength, resistance to bullets, and pretty robust healing factor, but he has also a few tricks and powers you might not know about, or, let's be honest, anybody would ever want in their life.
We are Venom.
May is the first official month of everything Venom on the channel, and to celebrate, I have some great Venom apparel linked in the description. Expect more videos to come, and if you have any ideas, whether it be on video games, movies, and comics that Venom has starred in, let me know in the comments below.
We're poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom.
For example, there have been some more questionable powers displayed by the symbiote that will probably never see the light of day again, such as in the 4th issue of Venom, Carnage Unleashed, where Venom learns that Carnage has transmitted himself through the internet for some reason and into a video game based on him with the intent of murdering those who play it. Is nothing sacred anymore, Carnage, you piece of shit. Venom finds out, then he follows him into the internet and eventually wins the fight. But don't expect that power to be showing up in the latest Venom movie. Please, don't show up in the Venom movie.
Why would we do that?
A similar trick that's a little more likely to see the light of day again is that the symbiote can actually shrink itself down small enough to fit inside a phone line and travel along it, but obviously it needs to detach from its host first. Another interesting power is that those spidery abilities he displays, like wall crawling and web slinging, aren't native to the symbiote whatsoever. They were actually copied from Spider-Man when he was its host. Most people know that, but the web slinging is actually a real bonus, as we're talking about traditional Spider-Man here, where his web shooters were synthetic rather than the Tobey Maguire style where he produces it organically.
Up and away, Web!
I try not to think about where that comes from. Venom is able to mimic these powers because the symbiote possesses a form of psychic ability which allows it to obtain information from its host, so when he fused with Peter Parker, it saw his memories of web slinging and simply replicated it using its own matter. This psychic ability is the key,
And in this mind is the key, my key.
which has also allowed it to obtain information simply by touching other people. It can also recall any information it has learnt from its previous hosts, that is, which allowed Eddie Brock to know Spider-Man's secret identity after bonding with him. And interestingly, this ability to copy powers of those who it has hosted with could get pretty insane when you think that characters like Captain Marvel has also been possessed by it. Captain Marvel's powers are energy-based, like that's getting a little bit crazy. Another cool trick is that it can drastically change its appearance and shape in a number of ways. There's the classic black look we all know, but the symbiote has taken on a few different forms over the years depending on who the host was. It can actually take up more of a casual appearance and look like street clothes, and with a particularly special trick, it can operate as a form of camouflage. We're not talking full Invisible Woman here, but more like the Predator, but that's still pretty awesome. The ability to control its appearance extends beyond stealth and fashion choices though. It can also manipulate its own matter into any shape it wants. This wasn't a trick it used early on, but during its time with Flash Thompson as the host, it would regularly morph body parts into spikes, blades, axes, or shields. A little bit Carnage-y. It gets fucking weird, man. During this time, he also enveloped an entire car, creating the insanity of the Venom-mobile, for just long enough to smash through a wall and turn back into its usual form, but not long enough to sell toys. While on the point of matter manipulation, it can also throw some of its own matter down its target's throat to smother them and suffocate them from the inside.
Phrasing?
Mentioned at the start, Venom has a healing factor and is kind of bulletproof, but it also has some other cool ways to keep its host alive. For example, it's able to filter breathable air to the host even when underwater or in toxic gas. It can also do more extreme things to keep the host alive, such as in Eddie Brock's case, where it kept his cancer in check, essentially extending his lifespan way beyond what modern medicine was capable of. When Eddie first became Venom, he wanted to distinguish himself from Spider-Man and instructed the symbiote to create the iconic mouth and tongue we now know, and will scream at any movie that has an inferior version. Sorry, Topher Grace. I'm not sorry, Topher Grace, I'm not.
Never wound what you can't kill.
But Venom's teeth aren't just for show, and they actually pack a powerful poison. His bite was actually able to take a significant chunk out of the Sandman that made him unable to reform himself properly. Also, he practiced cannibalism for a minute, so he has that going on. In more recent years, the symbiote was cleansed of its bloodlust and as a result gained a few new powers, one of which was taking on a humanoid form without actually being bonded to a host, but this was limited to about 12 Earth hours. I mean, it's not fun thinking about just an alien walking around, it's all weird. The human-host hybrid that gives you special powers, I think that's the magic of Venom and the trade-up of it might go crazy and kill people. The cleansing also allowed it to gain access to the symbiote's hive mind, learning about its species past and communicating with its home world. At this time, Venom was also traveling with the Guardians of the Galaxies, and he also became able to hear the voices of the cosmos. I promise that's real, telling it of people in need of assistance. I don't think the writers envisioned when they were creating a cool black evil foil for Spidey that has the same powers that the suit was going to be having a chat with the cosmos like fucking Carl Sagan.
Those worlds in space are as countless as all the grains of sand on all the beaches of the earth.
Whatever, close enough.
Some people call me a terrorist. I consider myself a teacher.
These are all the wacky, weird, and wonderful powers I've known Venom to have, but are there any that I've missed? Please let me know in the comments below.